Is Felger and Mazz your favorite afternoon show?
Yes, 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 yes.
Felger and Mazz.
Minnesota, the Lakers, the Celtics, the Heat. Those are all the Knicks. Those are all the teams that had interest in Giannis at the deadline. There was conversations, some teams more than other teams. You think about teams like Miami and Minnesota. Those were more extensive conversations. Those were more back and forth engagement conversations. Then you have teams like Cleveland and the Lakers and the Celtics and the Knicks that checked in, that had interest. There was some conversations on concepts, but the Celtics did check and they did make a call. They did have a level of interest, and I think that is going to continue into this offseason. But they've never gotten into the particulars because it takes two to tango. You're not just going to offer up a player that it might take to get a deal done without there being interest from the other side. So those are all things to be determined.
Hi, everybody.
Good, you.
Hello.
Peachy and hi. Sham Sharania with the report that Jim Murray was reading in the headlines all day yesterday, that the Celtics inquired on Giannis Antetokounmpo at the deadline last year and are expected to continue to inquire on Giannis Antetokounmpo this summer as we head towards the new league year starting in July. So we're going to start with that conversation, this still being on the table. Let me just reset where we all stand. And the two separate questions. What you want to happen and what you think will happen. In other words, Mazz, would you, if you were running the Boston Celtics, pull off some sort of trade, if not 1-for-1, then a 3-teamer?
Yep.
Jaylen Brown to Atlanta, picks to Milwaukee, Giannis to Celtics, whatever. Would you do some kind of trade that sent out Jaylen Brown and brought in Giannis Antetokounmpo?
No.
You would not do that?
I would not.
Do you think they will?
No.
Jim Murray, same question. Would you do it?
Yes, tonight.
Why?
Because I can't stand Jaylen Brown. And they need to shake up that room because they're not going to win another title with this duo, and they're delusional if they think that they're going to.
So you would do it? Do you think they will do it?
No, I don't. I'm actually starting to believe nothing's really going to change here with that duo. I mean, there'll be ancillary moves, like Derek White will be moved, and then we're supposed to celebrate because they'll bring in some other ancillary piece, but I don't think it's going to be anything major.
Jay Stu, with all your Celtics insight, shall we say? Would you do it?
I do not want Giannis because I think his Achilles is a ticking time bomb and it's going to explode and you're going to trade away some type of important asset and he's going to be out for 2 years with a blown out Achilles. That's why I do not want Giannis.
Okay, do you think they will do it?
I think that yes. Short answer, yes. I think that they would do it because they view Jason Tatum as a tier A player. They view everybody else on that roster as a tier B player. I feel like they view Giannis as a tier A player, and so that's why they would do it. They would want to see Tatum and Giannis because they would be two tier A players in the NBA universe.
Okay. I would not do it, and I don't think they will do it. I think their interest in Giannis is to add to Brown and Tatum, if I had to guess.
Yeah, right.
And in which case you would do that.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think I might too. I mean, I don't think it will work, but that's less offensive to me than Brown for Giannis. I'd rather have Brown as a player straight up than Giannis. Never mind age, health, etc. So, but then you add in all those other things, and I think it would be freaking silly. Even with Jaylen Brown carrying on the way that he's carrying on. We can talk about that. What the hell is he doing? This thing that he's on. But if you're adding Giannis to this, fine. Maybe. If it's Brown out, Giannis in, then forget about it. But why? So do you think they're sniffing around just to add?
Yeah. I think the interest could be real, but I don't think it's like to have Brown out, add Giannis. I think if they ideally would like to have that be the threesome. I just don't know how that would work. Never mind from the basketball standpoint, but more from the ego standpoint. So Brown is already crowing here about the season he just had and not being appreciated enough. And now he's going to be the third wheel? I just don't see how that works.
So you know what phrase we haven't heard a lot when this sort of topic comes up? Due diligence. Due diligence. We're doing our due diligence. And that's what I think the Celtics are doing. Because if there is some sort of scenario that pops up in which Giannis could lead to something else, I think they might be open to it. I keep giving you the same name, but I think in a lot of ways, Bam Adebayo is a better fit for Jason Tatum than Giannis would be. And so if you're telling me Tatum and Adebayo get along, they can complement each other, and they think they could make that work, like I could see some sort of we get Giannis and then flip him for Adebayo, but I don't see why Miami wouldn't just do that straight up or Milwaukee wouldn't do that straight up. You know what I mean?
So Miami makes more sense for Milwaukee to me. For Giannis, Miami makes more sense for Giannis than Boston. I'll tell you why in a second. My guess is the Celtics are, if you said due diligence, it's like that. I think they're doing it to see if they can get away with one. I mean, why not?
Sure, of course.
There's no harm in making the call, seeing what it would take, and play it out. Maybe something falls into your lap. Maybe there is a permutation that is palatable to you and does make sense to you. So you play it out, and if it happens, it happens. But then I just don't think it's a target for them, and I don't think Brown out, Giannis in is realistic for them. And so that. Now, the news came out late last week. I think it was off on Friday when it came out that Giannis and all the internal stuff, I guess Miles Turner did a podcast where he talked about everybody showing up late and Giannis being the worst guy and them having to hold the plane for Giannis to show up and hold this team meeting for Giannis to show up. And guys came and went whenever they wanted, and they showed up.
I have the sound. I can play the sound.
We don't need to.
Oh.
So they could play. They could show up when they wanted to show up. Didn't show up when they didn't want to show up. And Giannis was the worst offender. So that whole story on Friday, that thing. Not that I knew that detail. It didn't surprise me one bit.
Of course.
Did it surprise anyone?
No.
And I've been saying for years.
When the question was asked before Turner even answered, I said Giannis.
Right, or just that culture. And again, you didn't have to know the specific detail to just have that make sense. And I've been saying this for a long time. Giannis has been poisoned by American basketball. He's become a different guy. He's become an unrecognizable guy to me. And someone that came in, hardworking, ground up, from the ground up, standing for all the right things and sort of being the antithesis of a lot of the culture in American basketball. He has been completely poisoned and turned over to the dark side of American basketball. Prima donna, stat humping, star complex, standing for all. And I felt that way without knowing the internal detail of it. It's just the way he carried himself, the way he had been playing, the way the team stagnated, the way he, again, just a stat humping. And then all this stuff, like he was always involved in some sort of ancillary nonsense. They took his basketball.
Or the ladder and all that whole thing.
Or they took the net down with this ladder, and there was always something or the other. Halliburton's dad. Someone ran off with the basketball where he set a team record. No one even remembers what the record was. He's trying to shoot free throws, and they took the net down. I mean, there's been like a dozen of these things. And Giannis is always involved in them. And you would say that on the face of it, he was right on some of them. Like, why are you taking the net down? Let him shoot free throws and give him the damn ball. But why is he always involved in all those childish, it was always him. So I think he's long since been poisoned. This is all a long way of saying, would he even work here? See, I think so. Here's why I think he needs Miami. Because he needs Pat Riley. He needs Pat Riley to say, if you're late for the plane, you're fined. We're not going to hold the plane for you. Didn't Pat Riley have this whole thing with LeBron James?
Yes. Again, you're talking boundaries. He needs someone to set boundaries.
He needs a massive attitude adjustment.
Yep.
And he needs someone and a team and an organization that can set him straight. You show up on time or you're fined like everybody else. We're not holding the plane for you. You're not allowed to stay for your birthday party and then fly separately. No. This is how we do it because this is how real teams function. Can the Celtics do that?
It's different, but yes.
Do you think
they don't have a Riley, but what they do have is they still have a culture. Like, have you heard anything about them being late and missing planes?
No, but this is what I'm now asking.
They got a culture? Oh, they've done a real good job in reining Jaylen Brown in the last couple of weeks.
Well, what do we think? Do we think that the plane takes off if you're not 10 minutes early, you're late and you're fined? Or do you think that if Tatum and Deuce are late getting on the plane, they hold it for him and he's not fined?
B.
Oh, it's definitely B.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I'm curious. Like, I'm really asking openly.
So if it's Tatum, yes. If it's Jaylen Brown, we're taking off and we're finding you. And this is an example. Jaylen Brown was benched twice this season. So that's how you know that it's tiered differently for Tatum than it is for Jaylen Brown and everyone else.
Why was he benched? Was he late for a team meeting and Missoula?
No, he was benched, meaning he wasn't playing well, and Missoula went with someone else.
Well,
Jimmy, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yes, and it happened twice this season. That doesn't happen to Jason Tatum.
But my question is, was it really for something else?
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
I didn't feel that way at the time.
How are the Celtics run?
I think they're run, I would say the word I would use overall is professionally.
Do you think Tatum's allowed to show up late and nobody else?
I think Tatum gets latitude and no one else does.
Do you think he does that?
But I don't think he abuses it. Would be my guess.
Yeah. So
he doesn't feel like that kind of guy to me.
Aren't you curious about these questions?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Like how far do people push?
You don't hear about this stuff every day, but it is something that fascinates me. And I think it's really informative.
Yeah.
About what your program is.
Of course.
What your culture is. And when LeBron James went to Miami, Pat Riley said, no, that's not what we're doing here. And that team, I still think that team underachieved, but I just think that that's what they demand there. And I think, I know Celtics fans don't want to hear it, but I do believe in Heat culture. I think that they win above what their talent level is. I think they get the most out of their teams, if not more. I mean, there's no excuse beating you twice like they did. You had better teams, and they got you a couple times. How? I don't know. Because I think they play the right way in Heat culture. And so I do believe in it to a level. Do they have it here? And this is just sort of, I guess it's a side topic, but do you think part of Jaylen Brown's issue is that Tatum's allowed to show up late, Tatum's allowed to do his thing, and Brown's not?
Yeah, maybe. There's probably. I would imagine there's different rules for Jason Tatum. He's the bigger superstar.
I'd love someone to report this out, get in on that. I mean, the only example I can remember where we might have an insight on this is, didn't Rondo stay behind in L.A. for his birthday party or something?
Yeah, he did.
Because he was turning 12. And, are you one? Are you two? Yeah, it's a birthday. It's a birthday. So he had to stay for his birthday. Grown-ass people carrying on about their birthdays. You can't. On the list of things that go up my ass. The time we have to spend on birthdays.
Was Doc Rivers the coach then?
So because it was his birthday.
I believe it was Brad, actually.
He had to stay. He stayed in L.A. and they.
Yeah.
So how did that? I just can't remember how that all. Did he get fined or suspended because he stayed behind, or what? How did that happen? I just can't remember. But how do we think it's done here? You think it's done more like Pat Riley? And in which case, if you traded for Giannis, do you think you could get to him? Is this the place for him? They said, no, Giannis, you're not bigger than the Celtics. The plane takes off when it takes off. If you miss it, you're fined. If you're late for the meeting, you're fined just like everybody else. Or we're going to hold it for you. What do? Do they hold it for Tatum?
Oh, I'm sure they do on occasion. But I disagree with these guys a little bit in that I bet you Brown gets a little bit of latitude too. Maybe not what Tatum gets. Brown doesn't have kids, right? So like Tatum might get a little bit more. But I don't think either one of them like pushes it. I think for the most, if I had to guess, because I think they're generally respectful of their teammates.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't think they're those kinds of guys. I mean,
but you just have no idea.
No, you don't. You don't.
I think it's interesting to me.
Yeah.
So
listen, if Giannis wants to go to a good team, though, I will say this: I don't think anybody's going to let that fly.
I disagree. Bad organizations let it fly.
Okay, but if he wants to go to a real team, like a real a contender, he's going to have to rein it in. Those kinds of things, those players don't win. They end up getting, it's like James Harden going to the casino the night before Game 7. It's just they ultimately get in the way. So I think he's got to get more serious if he wants to get out of there.
Okay, you want Giannis? You think the Celtics want Giannis? And given what you saw last night, does it even matter?
Nope.
We'll get to that as well. Phone calls at 617-779-0985 to you right after these words. Sean and Lawrence. Go, Sean.
You keep saying, like, oh, I didn't actually watch the game, whether it's Patriots, Celtics, Bruins, whatever. Like, isn't your job as a talk show host to actually watch sports?
So I would say my job is to get you to listen.
That is the job.
Mission accomplished.
Take this job and shove. Felger and Mazz. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Y'all surrender a 3-1 lead for the first time in its history, in franchise history, with you driving the bus. And 24 hours later, 24 hours after you didn't go to the basket in the last 2 minutes, after y'all launched 3-point shots on 6 separate occasions and missed every one of them, 24 hours after that was over, you went on camera as a representative for the Boston Celtics and called it your favorite season. A season where Jason Tatum was on the bench for over 60 games. A season that ended with you losing the 3-1 lead. A season that ended with you getting bounced in the first round. You went on and said that was your favorite season. How do we know this is a problem? Go back and look at the headlines all over Boston. Look at what they were talking about. Look at what they were writing about. They were saying, what's up with him? What's going on? Because they didn't feel that way. And since you represent the franchise, I was simply providing a head up that it wasn't wise from somebody who is considered relatively wise to say that 24 hours after being sent home, after surrendering a 3-1 lead in the postseason for the first time in franchise history. That's what I said.
Is that related to this or not related to this? I'm still kind of asking the question, what is Jaylen Brown doing exactly with all this? I ask. But there was one Stephen A. cut. So Stephen A. Went on First Take and then his own private YouTube show or podcast with a much longer response to Jaylen Brown in the back and forth. But there was one cut in here, Mazz, that just sort of caught my attention, where he kind of challenged Jaylen Brown a little bit. Number 3 there, Jimmy, careful what you wish for.
But in the end, Jaylen Brown, be careful what you wish for. You really want me to start reporting on that level?
Yes.
You understand? Locker room? How the organization might think about you? How the city may feel about you? How Jason Tatum may or may not have feel about you? Sneaker deals, endorsement deals, the list goes on and on. The season is over, bro. You on Twitch trying to do what I do and talking about me needing to step away. It makes no sense. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm simply making the point that it is not wise, after 24 hours of having your season over in the first round, for you to be coming out talking about that's your favorite season. It ain't the smartest thing in the world to do.
Okay, so it was really the first part there.
Challenged them.
You really want me to report on that level, how the locker room feels about you, how the organization feels about you? How the city feels about you, how Tatum feels about you, sneakers, endorsement deals. Well, a couple of those things on the list. I mean, I don't need CMA to tell me about how the city feels about him. I think it's mixed. I think he's Brown has certainly rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way in the last 3 weeks.
For sure.
That's obvious. And I think for the most part, Celtics fans are very, very supportive of him. For the most part. And have been very supportive of him, as they are of all Celtics. But I think, politically, culturally, Brown and Boston is complicated. Like, I think we all understand that. It's a big, long conversation.
Of course.
I got that part of it. The sneakers and endorsements, I get it. Brown doesn't play the game, so he doesn't get endorsed on the level of some other NBA superstars. I don't need Stephen A. to tell me that. How the locker room feels about him, how the organization feels about him, how Tatum feels about him. Yes. Can we please get that?
I love it. Fantastic.
So are we implying that there's a story there?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's implying. Like, so I sort of look at it and say, okay, what do you got? Like, let's go. Let's dig into that a little bit. And this is where it sort of comes back to Brown, because whether you're Brown or someone close to Brown who advises him and can give him advice, the whole point is pick your battles, dude. Pick your battles. You want to dig in on certain things and fight certain things that are worth fighting for, by all means. In fact, I'd encourage it, is what I would do. But if you're going to pick your battles on silly things like what someone is saying on a talk show after you yourself called it the most rewarding year of your career or your favorite year when you got knocked out in the first round and blew a 3-1 lead to Philadelphia, that they got swept in the next round by the Knicks? Well, you're bringing that one on yourself. You're fighting a battle you don't need to fight. So this is where I think there's a lack of maturity on the part of Jaylen Brown. Pick your spots. Don't fight everything. You can't do it and succeed.
Okay. Well, as I said, is there a story about how the locker room feels about him? Is there a story about how the organization feels about him? Is there a story with Tatum?
You really want me to start reporting on that level?
Kind of feels like Stephen A. Smith is implying there is.
Yeah, I threatened him.
So, well, let's get that story then, shall we? Something tells me the Celtics media contingent will not be hopping on that one, but
don't hold your breath.
I can ask it. Kevin in Rosendale, lead us off today. Kevin, what do you got?
Hey, guys, I was just wondering, do you think there's any way the Celtics, Bucks, and Heat could make a three-way trade where Giannis goes to Miami, Adebayo comes to Boston, and then Brown goes to Milwaukee? I'll hang up and listen.
Yes. Sure. Without looking at the contracts or the numbers, there's usually a way. There's usually an exception with rights and some sort of archaic Derrick Rose rule that no one ever heard of that they can pull off and spin a loophole and get it done. So without anyone looking at the parameters, the short answer is yes. And you should know by now, especially listen to this show, that every time someone tells you you can't trade a player, cut a player, what about the cap hit? What about the bird rights? What about the every time you hear that and the trade goes through, you should realize there's always a way. So that's just a long way of saying, yeah, do that. Yeah, I think Giannis needs Pat Riley. And this isn't a part of the story you care about, but I kind of do.
No, it's a good point.
Because look at, I've really grown disillusioned with Giannis over the last several years, and I've called it out immediately. But I really did like the guy for a while. I mean, I think he stood for a lot of the right things, and he brought my team a championship that I never thought we would get, and he balled out to do it. And so, I am kind of on a level still rooting for the guy. It's just not going to happen in Milwaukee with Doc Rivers allowing him to show up an hour late to flights and not finding him. That's just... that horse has left the barn.
Well, Doc himself might not have been on time in Milwaukee.
It's a good point.
If I had to guess.
Right, exactly.
But doesn't Giannis have say in where he goes? Why wouldn't he look at Miami after talking to LeBron, who's been gone from there 14 years or whatever it's been, and after he talks to him, say, you don't want to deal with that, and say, I'm not going there.
Well, what do you want?
I'm not going to get pushed around.
What do you want, Giannis? You want to win again? Do you want to recapture what you were, which is not just one of the best players in the league, but the hardest, one of the hardest working and willing to do whatever it took and that thing? Are you willing to recommit yourself? I guess it's kind of hard to put the genie back in the bottle once it goes to a certain place. But if you're rooting for Giannis, I think he needs Pat Riley or someone like that. I know you can tell me, are there younger programs in the league where they get it and are exacting of their players and can bring that out of them? That's where he has to go.
Yeah, what you're saying is he needs someone who can hold him accountable.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and that can be a really healthy thing if someone's willing to accept it.
Mike in Fitchburg. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, all this talk about Giannis. What about, you want to win for 1 year? Why don't you go after LeBron James? You keep the two together, and, that's what it is. Just take it from there. I mean, it'd be cheaper.
No, it'll totally work, Mike. You're right.
Yeah.
Now, LeBron's going to come here and take a lesser role. Again, I want it to happen for spite. I can't stand him. It would already make a somewhat detestable team completely almost unwatchable if they got that insufferable prick playing here.
What if he...
Oh, no, it'll totally happen, Mike. Yes, the diva, the biggest diva in professional sports over the last 2 decades is going to come here and be the third wheel to Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Yes, totally going to happen.
Murray, who would you rather have, LeBron or Giannis?
Giannis.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I despise LeBron James.
I would take LeBron.
So can you put your personal animus aside for a second?
I mean, for the show.
No, not for the show.
No, not at all.
Well, you don't think he makes more sense for the Celtics in a certain respect?
50 years old? No. He's just stat humping at this point so he can make his records untouchable for the rest of the league, for the rest of lifetime. He didn't care about winning at this time.
Oh, don't you think that's all he's doing it for?
No.
There's no more records left to set.
Oh, he just wants to make them almost untouchable, though. Just keep adding on to them. And we going to make a roster spot for his kid who sucks, too?
Yes.
Cool. No, that's good. No, yes.
To who?
Bring me LeBron. No,
Well, this is a good one. Like that's another insight into the organization. How willing? So there's no way, I don't think, Pat Riley would clear a roster spot for Giannis Antetokounmpo or Bronny James. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like it's about the Heat. It's not about you. Okay, the Bucks and the Lakers clearly would do that. Would the Celtics?
Yes, of course they would.
Yes.
The Celtics would clear a roster spot for Bronny.
Yes.
And or Thanasis.
Yeah, Thanasis, Alex, Antetokounmpo, all the Antetokounmpos.
So the Celtics would do it.
Of course they would.
So then you think the Celtics are the team that lets Tatum show up late? And
Yes.
Yeah.
I
You
said
do.
that from the get-go.
So they're not. So the Celtics are not that team that I think they are. The star gets to show up whenever he wants, indiscriminately.
Yeah.
Not
The players can do no wrong. They yell at the reporters if you report on them the wrong way.
This is true.
Come on.
This
Not
is true.
indiscriminately, though. You can't, because it eats at a team.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you think happens when Deuce is draft eligible? If Deuce were draft eligible,
Number one
Tatum will
pick,
be
first round pick.
Tatum will be gone by then.
okay, but I'm just saying now, work with me.
If Tatum retires a Celtic and Deuce becomes draft eligible, the Celtics will take him late in the first round, and they'll give him a 4-year guaranteed contract.
This isn't apples to apples because Deuce is like 4 years old. Let's say he was 21 years old. What do you think the Celtics would do for Deuce right now?
They're drafting him.
No. Not if he's what
They certainly
Bronny
let him
is.
gallivant around now like he owns the place.
Okay, but he's like a 4 or
Right.
whatever he is.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's different.
They're drafting him.
It's different.
I'm just kind of facilitating here because I don't know. I would like to think the Celtics are that team, that it's about the organization, not about you. We're not holding the plane. We're not pushing back the meeting. We're not giving your brother a job or your kid a job. And I want to believe that about the Celtics. And then I see the organization singing Deuce bedtime stories every night during games. And I wonder if Deuce was 19 and not 9.
He'd play 2 games in Maine, tops.
The 12th thing, now, the Deuce thing, who the hell knows? The 12th man thing doesn't bother me. I mean, who's going to lose a spot on the Celtics? Max Schulga? Some stiff like that?
So in a vacuum, it doesn't bother you, but it's a tell.
Sure it is.
It's a tell that if you're going to sign their brothers or their kids, you're holding the plane. He doesn't have to show up to meetings. He runs the show.
Okay, so again, but that's an extreme case.
Is it?
So you said indiscriminately. My answer would be no. Do they bend some rules for him? Hell yeah, they do. Of course they do. Yep, and I bet you most teams in the league do it that way, and I bet you Riley even did it when he had Magic or Kareem. Kareem was a freaking pain in the ass. He was a complete freaking pain in the ass, that guy. I'm sure Riley kissed his ass for a little while, too.
I'm just asking. We continue with more of your thoughts after Big Jim Murray gets you updated.
Felger.
Shush.
Mazz. The Sports Hub.
He missed on purpose, trying to get the rebound. It's fought for. Wembanyama secures it, and it's just going to throw it up court to Luke Cornett. And the San Antonio Spurs on an epic night from their superstar. 41 and 24 boards for Victor Wembanyama. The Spurs take game 1.
I mean, that's almost like Bill Russell type numbers here. Will Chamberlain type numbers. Shaq.
It is the first loss of this postseason for Oklahoma City.
Jim Murray, I'll start with you.
Last night was a NBA turning point, in my opinion. I've heard the hype. I've only seen him a little, basically, when the Spurs had played the Celtics. That was the coming out party for Victor Wembanyama. I thought he was kind of cooked at the end of that game, the end of regulation, and then he completely took over those 2 overtime periods, especially the second one. There was nothing that Oklahoma City could do on either end of the floor. And as impressive as that 30-footer was at the end of regulation, that's cool. I was more impressed of what he can do inside. There's nothing you can do to that guy. He's a complete freak. That is to me, that moment, that game, which when I was dogging the NBA playoffs yesterday, I think rightfully so, that was the best game I've seen in the league in a while. And if that guy is going to play like that and stay healthy, because I know those bigs that size typically don't last in the league, but if he's going to have a healthy career, it's his league. That was the coming out party. That's a turning point moment in the NBA to me.
So to me, the biggest thing that struck me is the edge he plays with. Usually those big guys, those tall, like string bean, soft. Sean Bradley, Manute Bol, you push them around. They got no fight in them. They're all soft. Even Kareem was a little soft. Would throw elbows and crap. Like this kid's not soft, which in some ways concerns me because he could break. He's that much of a rail, but he plays with edge. He's got attitude. If he stays healthy, he's going to be one of the top 5 players in the history of the league.
So the league is theirs?
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
You sure?
Well, them or OKC.
Well, look, I'm telling you that I believe in OKC. I think they're really good. I think they're excellent.
Well, I'm just saying this because I heard absolutely the exact same thing about OKC.
This kid's different.
And their roster and the draft picks they have coming in the program there. I heard that about OKC. I heard that about Tatum and Brown.
That's for sure.
It's their league. I heard that.
I definitely said that.
I never said that.
Everyone said it. Everyone said it. Look at their ages. Look at their roster. It's their league.
San Antonio's average age is 22 years old. They're too young. Too young, Mike. They're one and done if they win it this year.
Okay. I'm just saying, I've heard this before. It's his league. Look out. It's his league. I heard it about Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder. I heard about Tatum and Brown. It's their league. I heard it about Nikola Jokic. I heard it Giannis Antetokounmpo. I heard it about, I'll just stop there. I don't know yet. You've all done it. All you basketball people did the exact same thing with Giannis.
You don't think this kid's different?
You did the exact same thing with Jokic. You did the exact same thing with the Thunder. It wasn't about a singular player, although Gilgeous-Alexander is obviously an MVP. But it's their league. No one's getting in the way. Look out for Giannis. Look out for Jokic. Look out for OKC and Gilgeous-Alexander. You're doing it all. You're doing the exact same thing again.
I mean, it really should have been Jokic, but his love of food and lack of love for his job, I think, is what gets in his way. He's his own worst problem. I mean, he's still uber talented, that's for sure. But I don't think he really loves the game and is dedicated to it. He'd rather be back home with his horses.
I think that it became apparent after he won the title. And they told him the parade was on Tuesday, and he said, no. What? I want to go home.
So you've mentioned Pat Riley a bunch. So, I mean, the league does suffer, and sports does too at the pro level, like the disease of me. So maybe this happens. Maybe they win this year, and Victor Wembanyama becomes the face of the league, and he gets, the big head and the disease of me thing. And that's it. They win the one title. That would look like a transcendent performance to me last night. I'm glad I watched it in real time.
Of course it did. And Mazz, I think he's better than all the guys I just mentioned.
Of course, that's right. I just think he's a different animal.
I mean, I see what everybody sees. Obviously, I'm not, it's just sort of obvious, that he has the combination of size and touch, size and hand-eye. Giannis has the physical gifts, but can't effing shoot. Jokic has tremendous dexterity and physical ability, but is kind of a lump.
Not an athlete.
And not in great shape. Tatum and Brown, you tell me what's happened here. How'd they go from it being their league to losing in the second round to losing in the first round?
So, look, I can give you the ways it'll come apart for this kid beyond injuries.
Tatum and Brown, always soft. They had the cakewalk title run. So
I'm just telling you that I've heard this now. And I'm not willing to let go that it's a one-and-done era. And you can go all the way back. The LeBron James, Anthony Davis Lakers in the bubble, one and done. Kawhi Leonard, Toronto. Meant to be one and done, was one and done. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he won it. Everyone said, would just look out. First of many, it's his league.
I definitely said that with him.
One and done. They went from the championship to the second round to the first round to out of the playoffs every year.
Of the ones you've all listed, he might be the biggest disappointment.
The old Curry-led that last Warriors team. No one said it was going to be their league, but that was one and done. Nikola Jokic, I'm sorry. Everyone said it about they said it about Jokic like they said it about Giannis.
Yes.
They did.
Yeah.
His league.
He's won how many MVPs?
Look out. His league. No one's getting in their way. This is the future of the NBA. Look out. Here it comes. Here's the next dynasty. 3 out of 5. It's coming.
I don't put Curry on this list, but go ahead.
And Denver went from the championship to the second round to one and done or whatever they are.
3 MVPs. He and that team should have another title.
Seriously, they should.
Tatum and Brown. Look at their ages. Look at their contracts. Look at the organization that they play with. Look at the East. It's their league. No one's getting in their way. Oh, my God. You people. You're still cleaning yourself up for all the fluids you secreted after that title. Look out. It's our league. No one's getting in the way. Look at their ages. It's their league. It's their time. Well, 2 and done, 1 and done. And now what? Gilgeous-Alexander and OKC. It's their league. No, it's not. They're another 1 and done. Great team, but the NBA blessedly is in an era where those days are over, man. 3 and 5 years, 3 in a row, 4 and 6 years, not happening.
I hope not. I want this kid to be the real deal and wipe his ass with the league for the next 5 to 6 years.
Why?
I really do. I got such enjoyment out of that because it felt so old school the way he took over that game last night. It was awesome. It's very rare at this point. I'm obviously a very jaded person, but in watching that in real time, and I'm so glad that I did, I wanted to get off my couch and cheer, really. And now I have rooting interest. Call me bandwagon. I don't care. I said I might pull for the Knicks to win the title. I want the Spurs and this kid to win it. I hope it's the first of many. I loved watching that.
So, look.
Are you including injuries in your assessment?
I'm just, as usual, trying to give you a little something different than everyone's giving you on Wembanyama. Everyone's giving you the same thing on Wembanyama today.
No, the track record of the league over the last 10 years, you're 1,000% right.
So this is just the other side of it. You all said the same thing about Giannis, Jokic, Tatum, and Brown. And they've all gone from title to not even getting back to the finals. Why? Okay, so is this guy that much better than Nikola Jokic?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you say so.
Defensively, has Jokic ever been Defensive Player of the Year?
I doubt it.
I mean, this kid's a freaking force on that end of the floor.
If he stays down there.
He's a pterodactyl down there.
If he stays down there. A lot of times he didn't play down there.
Well, so I'm just telling you that the ability on this kid's different. That's all. I'm trying. No, I can't speak for what the future is.
Is the ability different?
Yes.
I don't think
Jokic is a better passer. I do think that Wembanyama is a better defensive player.
I think Jokic has every bit of the ability of Wembanyama. He's just like six inches shorter.
Not at the defensive end of the floor, he doesn't.
Okay, fair enough.
This kid affects both ends of the floor.
Or is that because he's a foot taller than everybody else?
Yeah, well, what? You don't count that?
He's like playing with his nephews.
So you don't count that?
It's kind of silly.
Okay, so then he should be banned from the league?
No. I'm just telling you, you said he has more ability than the other guys.
He does.
I think he's just taller.
Well, what's the difference?
Someone's just taller.
So it's God-given, whatever it is.
Okay, but that's not ability. That's a physical trait. Well, and I'm not putting Giannis on this list because I don't think Giannis is the player that Jokic is or Wembanyama is. So take Giannis out of this. Just Jokic. I think Jokic has every bit the hand-eye coordination, fluidity. You know, when I say athleticism, I'm putting it in air quotes. You know what I mean? Like
this kid has more athleticism.
Shooting touch, right? Because he's
not just because he's taller.
Jokic has every bit the shooting touch. Probably better. Probably has a better shooting touch than Wembanyama, but they're comparable. Mm. And he's probably a better passer.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
He definitely is.
Wembanyama's just taller. He's just really tall.
I know, but why doesn't
it kind of speaks to the silliness of the sport?
Why doesn't that count?
It does, but you said he has more ability than those other guys.
I think he does.
I don't think he does.
But there's been tall freaks in the league before that don't have the talent of this kid.
Correct.
So that tallness.
I'm comparing him to Jokic. I think what Wembanyama has over Jokic is height, length. He doesn't have greater ability. He's just taller.
Mike, he's more agile. I think he's quicker.
Because he's not as heavy.
He can probably put the ball. Okay, so he might have more discipline, might have more desire.
I mean, he should win more. I'm not, I get it. I see what everybody's saying. As usual, I'm trying to give something a little different.
I understand you're trying to give people something different. I'm also telling you that I think this kid doesn't fall into a box. That's all. He doesn't. He is different.
You also tend to get carried away with certain players, Mazz. You do.
Probably.
Yes, you do.
Am I supposed to apologize?
I'm not trying to blow you or anything.
I don't care if you are.
But you had a thing for Anthony Edwards. You've had a thing for different guy. Who was it before Anthony Edwards?
Porzingis.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you that Porzingis is couldn't stay healthy, but his ability
don't you think
is off the charts.
That's a better comp. Don't you think Wembanyama is just a souped-up Porzingis?
Yes.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
And what was the issue with Porzingis?
Yeah, health.
So that's the biggest thing I would worry about. This guy's a freaking popsicle stick. He'd snap in half. That's what would worry me if I'm in San Antonio.
I do agree with you, though, on his attitude. Like, he's kind of an a-hole, Wembanyama.
In a good way, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, he's got edge, and he's not ashamed of it, and he'll, part of it is a turnoff. Like, he'll sit there. He didn't do it last night. They gave him the chance to in the postgame. I was listening to it. But he'll sit there and do a 20-minute dissertation on why he should be the MVP. Sort of like, we would frown on that, but he just sort of wears it as an overall, the way he carries himself. Like, no, I'm the guy. And I don't know. I just, we're just in a one and done. Like, all these teams didn't even make it back to the effing finals after they all won. The Bucks and Giannis, Jokic and the Nuggets, Brown, Tatum, and the Celtics. They all won. Everyone said it's their league. They haven't even gotten back to a finals, any of those teams. Did he even make a conference final? So, keep it in your pants. I get it. He's really, really tall.
Fun to watch, though, too. Not just tall. I loved that.
I just love the attitude.
Me too.
You don't often see a big guy built like him to play with that kind of attitude.
Going back to the bench saying, I told you at the end. I loved that.
And they asked him after the game, the whole thing with the MVP, was that a motivating factor for you? And he's like, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, no, he wears it.
Of course it is.
So
awesome.
Listen, so I thought Giannis had the makeup. Remember when Giannis won it?
I would agree.
And he comes out and says, listen, everyone could jump to a super team. I stayed, and this is the way to do it. And I was like, oh, my God, you want to talk about, green goo coming out. Like, I thought he had it. And
he got poisoned.
Completely jumped ship, left the reservation, got completely poisoned and ruined by American basketball culture. And now he is like the worst example of the diva stat humping, hold the plane, my team, sign my brother, American a-hole. And could you possibly have predicted that 5 years ago?
That should be a streaming series, American A-hole.
You know what I mean? So what is Wembanyama 3 years from now after he gets the whole thing?
Maybe the French a-hole.
Listen, legit question. Totally legit question. No way to predict that. I don't remember. Well, I shouldn't say that. Giannis, I thought, was going to be so disappointing. He has not filled his potential. There's every chance that could happen with this kid, but it's hard to not think it's going to go in a different direction.
Okay. I'm sorry, just took a little long with that. Back to your calls if you want to join us on this. Open lines at 617-779-0985.